all sorted. Oh, just
No
been playing the
Dr. Lewis
longest
again.
game of Clank Legacy ever.
Sam's just
Anyone-
fixing
anyone hear me?
images on the website.
I got bored
Yeah.
of being really, really hot and decided to do some work instead.
'Cause,
117 titles in my filter chest.
you are not reading all of them out. I'm a little concerned that I'm going to turn up there and it's going to be shit.
Oh, no, I think you're going to be fine.
2 o'clock this morning I was working on that Planet Unknown. The problem with it was, so I took it out and I thought, I'll do all this. So I can hear the confusion on your head, in your head going, yeah, and then Starfield got in the way. I could
Yeah,
do
you're
a
in spam, I think,
podcast
most of it.
editing, or I could go and play Starfield. I'm going to play Starfield. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, dear listeners. This is episode 106 of the Devon Dice Podcast, recorded on the 10th of September 2023. In this podcast, we'll be talking about the usual news, crowdfunders, and games we have played. Also, we will be tackling a question from the Lewis Holt. My name is Joe Wright. I am your host of this podcast, and joining me tonight is Nick Shaw, the podcast resident board game designer and link master,
Hello, folks.
and Sam, master of the Clank universe and the podcast's IT guy.
How are you all?
Welcome, guys. It's
Welcome,
been
welcome.
eventful the last couple of weeks, I have to say.
You haven't been caught by the boss watching Formula 1 again, have you?
You've not been playing Starfield
no.
at work, have you?
No, I wish. I wish. I did attempt to do something, but it didn't work. It was not allowing it. No. So the Monday after we recorded, I crashed my car, didn't I? So
Oh, yes.
You didn't crash it officially. Someone
Yeah,
else
you didn't
did.
crash
For
Someone
you.
drove into the side of your car.
it's still being decided by the insurance companies at the minute at this point. So total write-off, and yeah, we've
What
got a
a
new car coming next week.
Hurrah.
So yeah, it was one of those weird things. Like literally that weekend, we were discussing, need to do something with my car. It's not quite big enough for what we're using it for. The kids are getting older. We've got more stuff. Blah blah blah. We tried to go away on holiday, and it was packed full. And that was just like a holiday in a cottage. So it's like, we need a bigger car. And then we're like, well, we could get a new car. Claire could have my car, and then Caitlin, once she starts driving next year, can have Claire's car. And they all got decided for us as I tried to drive out the campsite. So we're down to
Divine
one.
providence. There we go.
Yeah, down to one car, one little city car at the minute. But so yeah, I mean, it wasn't a major crash. Don't worry about it. It was just this big truck took the front end of my car out. So as it drove past, so yeah, I knew it was
but
bad.
yeah, don't have to deal with that, do you? That's
Not really. Was not on the plans.
no.
I can say that. But hey ho. Moving along. So yeah, been a bit of a weird few weeks. Lots of things going on. And if you haven't noticed, and you probably would have noticed by now, there is another podcast out with the review of Planet Unknown. That was heavily delayed, A, because of the crash, and B, because of Starfield. So
Well, we'll assume
More-
all problems for the next month or two is going to be Starfield.
yeah. So we'll come to that later on. So other than that, if you also haven't noticed, the new website has been made live. Same old address, just looks so much more neater. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you,
Well,
Sam.
hopefully.
Once you fix aspect ratios and things, it'll be beautiful. But it's
Oh,
looking
I have noticed I've just broken something though, so bear with me. You need to fix that.
He's
That's right, you've got a
tinkering
good
with
few
it
days
as we
before this goes
record.
Yeah. I can't leave things alone. I've got to keep going.
That's the same when I edit stuff or do podcasts, especially Planet Unknown. It was just like, oh, I could just add this little bit in. Oh, I'm going to add this tiny little sound effect in, which probably people won't even notice, but I know it's there, and I quite enjoy it. So yeah, one of those things. I know what you're on. Okay, so thanks to Nick, we have a script tonight because I never wrote it, so I'm going to leave it to him.
Well, I'm the link master.
Yeah, so
I've linked it all up.
Stonemaier Games has announced their next new game, Bees in Space.
Yes, Apiary. Did I say Aviary on there? No, I did.
I nearly said Avery, but I was like, no, it's not Avery.
Apiary, which is close. Yeah, so this is their new game, which is coming out, I presume, for Essen. But yeah, fairly soon. And it is a worker placement, engine building, bees as workers kind of game. It looks. I've read through the rule book, and it sounds quite interesting. It's got 20 unique factions to play with. I don't think they're as wacky as Tapestries were, but you have workers which work in a very similar way to Euphoria. If you know the older Stonemaier game Euphoria, where you can bump other workers off, other people's workers and your own workers. Otherwise, if no one bumps them off, you then have to do like a special action just to get them back, which is a pain. But anytime they come back, they power up a bit. And it's got a similar mechanic to. I remember myself now. You can cut this bit out because I said it in the chat. Where are we? Yeah, so it's got the worker powering up is like Teotihuacan's workers, where when you move them around the board, they power up. So that it does this when you take them off the board, effectively. And you're trying to build up your hive and in space, and it looks kind of fun. 1 to 5 players. Quantum Moria artwork, so it looks beautiful, really, really pretty. So yeah, that's coming out fairly soon.
Yeah, it's with all Stonemaier Games. I love the fact that when he announces a game, you know that it's coming out within a couple of weeks, a couple of months. Sorry, he never sort of. I love the fact there's none of this kind of weird pipe build stuff with his stuff. It's good.
No, definitely. It is always good the way he does things now. It's done, it's printed. Quite literally, I think it's arriving in the ports or the hubs as he then announces it. Oh, this game's now available to pre-order. And you'll pretty much get it.
And it will be at Essen as well, so that's quite cool.
Okay. So,
and this is I think it's a new designer, a lady called, if I can find her name, Connie Vogelman.
Yeah.
I don't think she's done anything. I'm going to have a look now. See if she's
I had a look on BGG. I couldn't. This the only thing she's credited to. Not to say she hasn't worked on something else, maybe, but she certainly hasn't been credited for anything yet on BGG. No. So.
Yeah. So this is her first big game from Stonemaier. So that's great.
Yeah. I mean, you've always got to be interested in a Stonemaier release, haven't you? Of some, so it's not one that I'll necessarily go out and same kind of thing as with Wingspan when that came out.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go and get it myself, but I played it when it came out, and I was like, "Yep, that's brilliant. I'll be buying that." And I hope I'd get the same kind of vibe from this one, but I'm happily going to wait until someone else buys it. The thing that did make it kind of interesting for me was the and Shane Lewis isn't here to talk about it as well. Someone on BGG had commented about saying it was a really weird choice for a theme like bees in space, and Jamie sort of commented that actually the inspiration came from the Adrian Tchaikovsky book Children of Time, which was the Arthur C. Clarke winner, about sort of sentient spiders evolving on a planet. I thought that's brilliant. That made me want to. That made me a lot more interested, just because I love that book too.
Oh, that book's on my shelf, waiting to be read at the moment.
Oh, it's well worth it, Nick.
Yeah. Once I've got through one we're at the moment, my brain has gone blank. It's a Sunday evening and it's hot. I'll think of it later. I'll plug it in later. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to reading that. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I either pre-order it through Stonemaier or look at picking up at Essen. I might just pre-order it because it might.
I wonder if it's going to be available to play at Essen.
Yeah,
I would have thought so. I can't believe they would launch it and not have a demo table or two there as well.
Yeah, I would think so.
They've got a big enough stand there. I think they've got a fairly.
I just looked at the website. Yeah, October 4th, product launch on the web store and at Essen Spiel.
Yeah,
so,
that's like the Wednesday before Essen as well. So
yeah, so you can give it a go, Joel, and let us know.
I will. New Stein. I'm going like you, Nick. New. Let's keep trying Seinfeld.
New Stefan Feld game.
Stefan Feld, that's right. New Stefan Feld game announced. Civolution. Civolution, yeah.
It's like Civilization and Revolution combined. Yeah, so this sounds kind of interesting. Richard Hamrado mentioned that it was like a 4X game from Stefan Feld. I can't see anything saying 4X in it, but that does sound kind of interesting for Stefan Feld to tackle that kind of thing. But this is there's not much information on Board Game Geek yet, but we know it's a medium-heavy Euro with dice selection, trigger actions on a tree-like tech tree structure, which sounds interesting. And it's set in space. There's not much more we know about it at the moment, but mechanically that sounds really interesting to me. And I love Stefan Feld games, so I'm keen to find out more information about that when it comes out. I think it's going to be available to demo at Essen. It was on the Essen preview list.
Yeah, well, no, I probably will have a wander over and have a look at that as well. So,
yeah,
definitely.
Done by Deep Print Games.
Yeah,
which is exciting.
It is up and coming publisher.
Yeah, so it's good to see Stefan Feld branching out on publishers.
Now this one,
and the last news item. It's good. I found.
Yeah,
So this one is. You go ahead.
All I'm going to say is I heard this on podcast. What podcast? Secret Cabal podcast.
Oh yeah.
They've already spoken about this, and who runs it?
Jamie thingy.
Jamie, yeah. He absolutely was all over this. He said it's brilliant, great game. One of those, and I was like, I've been looking around for it. So either they had advanced copies up in US, or he had an advanced copy to preview it. Or something like that.
Copy, I think. So this is Deduckto. We didn't say the name of it. It's Deduckto. It's a quacking deduction game for 2 to 4 ducktectives. Which I just love that. And it's not all about ducks, but it is about anthropomorphic animals. And it's like a gamer's version of Cluedo is the way I would describe it. Because you're trying to deduce your secret character. So you get dealt, I think, 6 cards. One of them is hidden, is the wrong way around, so it's facing away from you, and you're trying to deduce which character you are. And all the cards have a different combination of either an animal or a disguise or a location mixed up. And you have to choose a card from your hand, put it down and say, is one of those features on my card? And everyone else will say yes or no, and you put it either in the yes or the no pile. And you keep going trying to deduce it, and if you can guess the correct solution first, then you win. So it sounds fairly simple, but also it does sound a lot of fun. Tom Vassell thought it was great. He was calling it a kids game. I'm not sure if it's necessarily aimed at kids. It looks easily playable by kids. But,
I'll say family weight, isn't it? That's the thing. It can be played by kids. I don't think it's aimed at kids.
It's a game game, so yeah, it's that kind of thing. But yeah, it looks pretty good. So if you want to find out about Paulie the pigeon wearing a moustache in the park, or Pinky the pig in a wig at the pier, then yeah, it looks like one to check out. I think this is also on the Essen list, I have a feeling. One to look up.
Definitely. Yeah, a bit lackluster on the news.
Yeah, not a lot of big things.
No. It's all hitting the Essen
it's all Essen
Spiel list, isn't it? So if you wanted to go over to Board Game Geek and check out the Spiel preview list, then you can go over there and see all the games. And we will be doing a special episode on our games we're looking forward to there later on this month. So stay tuned to that. Crowdfunding. Railways of the Lost Atlantis.
Lost Atlas.
Lost Atlas.
Lost Atlas.
An approachable 18xx game. Now, I don't think
so. Yeah, I think I wrote the word approachable.
I don't think it
I
is at
saw it
all when I
somewhere.
read it.
So this is it's an 18xx game, which, if you don't know, is a train network route building and stock management type of game, which is a whole series of games in a series of set in the 1800s of all the trains around the world when they were started up. And this one has, what's interesting about it is it has a modular board, and so you can set how big a board you want to have, and that can adjust the time that it takes. So it says that you can play the mini game in an hour, and if anyone knows 18xx games, they take usually 4 to 6 hours to play a full game. That's 4 to 6, not 46. That would be insane. But 4 to 6 hours is kind of the usual you'd expect for an 18xx. But this one could play, as I said in the mini game, about an hour, and you could play a slightly larger one for 2 hours. So I thought it was quite interesting that they are making this. They're trying to make, I think, the 18xx genre more approachable for the general gamer public, and it looks like it's done really nice production as well. Because a lot of 18xx games do look like they were made in like Microsoft Paint and printed on flimsy cardboard.
Well,
but this has got some. I mean, it's basic graphics, but it's nicely done production graphics with some decent components. So it's one worth looking at, I think. And it's got 18 days left as of time of recording. It's past its funding goal. So yeah, check it out if you are of that type of person who likes a nice economic train game. See what you think of it. If you guys are in any way into 18xx style games.
They always scare me.
I know Sam is very much not because of the stock holding stuff.
Stock holding, man. I cannot be abiding a stock holding game. I hate them. I do like the production of it. I like the fact they've kind of done good graphic design for it. It makes it more appealing to even look at. They've kind of gone for the bookshelf look too as well, which I quite like. So you slot it vertically on your bookshelf. It looks like it's a leather-bound sort of journal kind of style, which looks quite cool. But it's still just a really, in my mind, without having, this is just first impression style. I know it's going to be a stock holding game, and it's a train game, and it can look as pretty as it wants. It's still not going to get anywhere near me.
Yeah.
I mean, it does say 1 to 5 hours. It's like 1 hour per player. So you think, well, minimum you want to play is, say, 3 people. So you're talking minimum 3 hours. And realistically, that's only if you really know a game well. So let's face it, it's going to be a 4 or 5 hour game regardless anyway.
Oh, I think that's because you can modulate it as much as you want. So the board is modular. Yeah. And then you basically...
play a mini
play a mini game. But, I mean, if you're playing an 18xx game, you want to play a full game to experience.
You probably want the full experience.
I can't believe that the stock holding bit would have time to do much.
No.
Without it being, going on a little bit to make it work.
That hour-long one is a 2-player small map.
Yeah.
So, I think 18xx is probably better with more players. You want that interaction.
Yeah.
And they'll push them.
It's a laudable goal, but I just don't think that the general gaming average player is going to be attracted to this, no matter how pretty it looks. And it's not like it looks that pretty, really. It's just prettier than your average 18xx game. Yeah. I think most people will be put off by even the idea of 1 hour. I think if you're trying to sort of democratize it, I think even that is too much, really. But you never know. And actually, I like the idea of it.
For the price, it's £57. I think is the single copy. Compared to most 18xx games, that's incredibly good value. Most 18xx are over 100 easily.
Yeah.
So it's very good value for money. So yeah, if you like that kind of style of thing, then take a look.
Yeah. I mean, I realise I'm an outlier to some degree. I know that 18xx games are incredibly popular with quite.
But it is also
subset.
quite a niche as well in the hobby.
Yeah.
But those who love it, love it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there is other games because I know a friend of mine who's got into the 18xx and he's basically started at the beginner's level, which they're saying here on Board Game Geek is 1846 and 1889, and then someone's thrown in 18OE, I believe it was. I've lost it now. Yeah, OE, which I think is the one he started with, because I remember
they're all going to be at least 4 hours. Those, and they're saying they're introductory. They have the most basic level of rules before you change things up.
And there's
there are
always a
simpler
massive
ones,
spreadsheeting of how much you earn from your shares and things like that.
Yes,
each
yeah.
round.
It does look a bit spreadsheety sometimes.
You can actually play 18xx games. There's a web-based to play games, and someone invited me in, and I kind of forgot about my turn. So yeah, I think it's still there. It's still active, and it's been there for like 3 years. Anyway, so
moving on from that one.
Yeah, Mycelia, tile mushroom growing game.
Yeah, this looks kind of fun. Very nice artwork again. So this is it describes itself as a strategic mushroom game, which I think is quite a niche in the hobby. But it's tile laying with you're building this kind of tableau of mushrooms. You're going through the life cycle where they spore out to other areas next to them, and eventually they will die off and give you special powers. It looks kind of nice. 1 to 4 players, 40 to 90 minutes. I'm not convinced by the tiles. They're triangular tiles, which is quite unique in the tile laying genre. There aren't many games that use that, and I'm not too sure about how good they're going to be. Something about them looks just a bit weird. The board's quite abstract in its look, but the artwork on the cards is beautiful. So if you like mushrooms,
the tile stuff looks a bit like, without having reading the rules, the tile stuff looks a bit like, what's the one with the lanterns, Harvest Festival sort of style. So when you place it, it looks like it's activating the icons you're touching and stuff.
Yep.
Which I think it looks quite cool. It's quite interesting. They obviously went for a slight. I would say they've probably gone for a slight novelty feel with the triangle tiles. But
Indeed.
I think it looks kind of interesting. But the artwork does look amazing. So that's the one thing that immediately makes me go, ooh, that looks really pretty. It's got that very kind of wingspan, kind of watercolor-ish kind of artwork to it.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Like
They're all unique cards, illustrations.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. So that's a nice one. That's let me see how long that's got. 27 days. So it's only been up for a few days. They're well past their funding goal. They're already on the 150,000.
The other thing that's nice about this one is that it's a British project as well. I'm trying to work out which publisher it is. I think is it a new one? I can't see it.
I think it is.
But yeah, so it's a UK project with a very modest goal of like 9,000. So that's pretty amazing.
And base pledge is $40. Oh, sorry, £40. In fact, that's $50, which is again a very good price. This kind of game.
And it's got a very elaborate deluxe edition as well, which looks quite impressive. The what's it called? Let me find it again. The opulent edition. It's £599 plus tax and shipping.
Wow.
But it does look pretty incredible. I mean, I'm not entirely. Let's have a look. Has anyone backed it at that level? I'd be surprised. But 22 people have backed it at that level. I mean, fair play. I mean, it looks incredible. It's like proper heirloom edition sort of style.
Opulent edition, they call it. Really good. Crazy. So it is the publisher is Splitstone Games. Who I'm just having a look. I have not done anything else yet. Nothing else.
But first time. I think it's probably first time
based on
design.
the sunny south coast of England, so somewhere on the south coast. What I find amusing is there was another game called Mycelia, which came out last year from Ravensburger. And it seems they probably didn't know about that game when they named this one.
Yeah.
But that's always awkward when you have one with the same name, especially from a publisher like Ravensburger within the same year. I mean, it's a completely different game.
What's interesting actually is the designer of the game is also the artist on the game. So he's doing a bit of he's a Red Raven style.
He's doing a Ryan Laukat.
Yeah.
Very good.
Fair play. I mean, the graphic design and everything looks really good. The design of it looks
really nice.
Yeah. The only trouble is, it's with the mushroom thing though. The trouble is, I'm waiting to see what Undergrove from Elizabeth Hargrave's like first.
Yeah.
And I've only got room in my collection for one mushroom game, and I don't like mushrooms, so.
I mean, it's not the first game I've seen this week that's got a same name as a previous game, but different. So Statecraft is on the Essen list.
Yes.
And who did Statecraft first?
ITB.
ITB.
The ones who went
don't
under,
exist.
isn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a different game. This one looks a lot more better and fun than ITB's. Anyway, moving on. Grim Reaper Preschool, a trick-taking game for Sam, by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
This
so
is a weird one.
yeah, I mean, I think at the core of it, it's actually a very simple trick taker,
Yeah,
and I like a
it's
simple
very
trick
basic
taker.
Yeah.
But it's a Japanese one, which immediately makes me interested. Although because it's Japanese, it's also quite weird. So yeah, Grim Reaper Preschool. You're a teacher at a Grim Reaper Preschool, apparently, and the students are taking grades 1 through 9. And so basically the students are the cards, and you're playing... Basically, I can't even be bothered to talk about the theme. There isn't one. It's just got some bizarre artwork on it, which is kind of fun. And it's got the typical kind of follow mechanic. So if you play a blue card, you have to follow if you can, but you can also follow with the number. So instead of following with just the color, you could choose to follow with the number. But then the person wins. Instead of it being the highest number that wins, it's the lowest number that wins within the winning set. So it's not much of a twist, but it's a tiny little twist. So yeah, I don't know. It's a trick-taking game with a tiny little tweak to it, and it's got some weird Japanese artwork to it. So I thought, and it was only like 17 quid. So I thought, well,
it is, $17. So
go for that. Yeah. Oh, the only other bit with it is that because apparently, I don't know if it's a Japanese thing, but the numbers 4 and 2 apparently are special. And if you collect tricks with 2 or 4 in, you get extra points and stuff like that. So yeah, the only thing I've got about this one that's making me think I'm not sure if I'll bother to some degree. I've decided to pretty much keep it because it's cheap enough, but it only plays up to 4, and generally for a trick taker, I like it to be 5 or 6 probably, because it's especially with one that's only going up to 1 to 9 cards, it doesn't feel like it would be much of a stretch to be able to say, well, you could play it with up to 6 people. In fact, it would probably be better. It's almost tempting to go for 2 sets and just say, right, we're playing at 6. But yeah, it's cheap enough, so why not give it a go?
Cool. Yeah. Cretaceous Rails is the next one I found.
Oh, not this silly thing again.
So Sam saw this and went, oh, had a real visceral reaction to it. So I watched a kind of a review of this just earlier today to have a look at it. It actually looks like quite an interesting game. It's coming soon to Kickstarter, so there are some preview videos out there now, and it is about building effectively an amusement park in the Cretaceous period. So you're instead of doing a Jurassic Park bringing dinosaurs back to life, you decided to go the easy route and build a time machine to take everyone back to the Cretaceous and then build a park at that point. So you are, and it's worker placement. So you're placing out in quite an interesting way. You have a 4x4 grid of actions, and you have your marker, and you place your marker in between 2 of those tiles on this 4x4 grid, and you get to do the actions adjacent to where you place them, and they start filling up when other players place as well. And you're basically building out a route around kind of almost like a train route, because you're driving people around on the tour. You're clearing shrubbery around the way so you can see the dinosaurs better. You can sometimes collect dinosaurs to bring back into your amusement area for more rewards. You're trying to complete contracts. And it looks like it has actually got more depth than it looks like from the not great overview of its page. It doesn't do a good job of selling it on the page. It looks very, very busy on the map. But in the preview videos I've seen, actually it's a lot clearer. You can see the train routes. You can see the dinosaurs a bit better from that. But yeah, it sounds quite interesting. So if you're interested in dinosaur-themed dinosaur park running with worker placement and route building, a little bit of pick up and deliver, then check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a fairly flippant response when we first saw it, just because I think the promo image is made to look busy. They just put all the dinosaurs and all the trees and all the workers
dinosaur
and
minis
everything
as well. So
I suppose that's the other thing that kind of puts me off any game now, is if there's just a bunch of plastic minis in it, then it feels like they've been made to draw attention and get people to back it purely because of the minis. But to be fair, these ones are kind of a little bit more on the sort of toy-ish end rather than being
That's true. They
kind
look
of serious miniatures.
They're just one colour. They're
yeah.
I mean, they're in multiple colours, but they are the whole dinosaur is a colour. It's not painted or anything.
But it means you can easily see the different species straight away, I guess. So there'll be obviously... The only thing is looking at the promo, it does feel like there's an awful lot of components. And it makes me wonder how kind of... It's going to be a bit of a mishmash of lots of different things going on. So I'll keep an open mind.
There are quite a lot of mechanics going on.
And it feels like, again, it's that
what
typical...
prices they're going to put it into.
It's why with the Mycelia one's probably exactly the same sort of thing, where it just feels like these kind of designs that are fairly from pretty new companies or pretty new designers, they tend to be the projects they want to make rather than the ones that they should make. And it feels like something this theme and design in the hands of an established designer would probably thin out some of this stuff and make it a little bit cleaner. And I know that I almost know for a fact that this will end up being a bit of a hot mess. It'll be probably fun and fine, but there's a core of a good game there, but I bet you it's overblown and there's 2 or 3 too many things in there to make it really good. Yeah. But I got to keep an open mind though, because I like dinosaurs, so why not?
And it's not been released. There's not a huge amount of information. We can't see the rule book.
But looking at the amount of plastic, I'm suspecting it will be a fairly pricey one.
That's my worry, is it will come in at a high price point.
Yeah, there's lots of little custom plastic bits. There's wooden bits. I think those little trees and stuff are wooden bits. The train bits are all custom. They might have got the stars maybe from Stonemaier Games, perhaps, never know. Save a couple of quid. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting idea.
Indeed.
I thought when Nick posted it on the Discord, I thought it was actually the old game you got, Sam. Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs.
Oh, what a classic.
And
it's almost worth me buying this just so I can have the dinosaurs and I can work them into my dinosaur version, my new design.
I mean, just for them, if it's a good price and that, there's a lot of miniature stuff in there. So
and I just look at the meeples as well. About perfect for that. For my imagining of it, that would work as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe. Just for the pieces. I'll chuck all the boards and cards in the bin and just keep the bits.
All right, now on to the highlight of the crowdfunding. This was actually previewed at UK Games Expo, but it was just an image. But finally, Worms, the board game, has hit the Kickstarter site pages, and it was an instant back for Sam.
Yep.
And it was an instant back for me. So,
unfortunately, it's a very short project as well, so the chances are it's going to be ended by the time the podcast goes out.
Yeah, it's only got 4 days left as of time of recording.
I'll do my best to get it out.
Well, so.
I think what we'll do is we'll just fire up the link saying we've just recorded and talked about Worms.
Yeah,
it's only got 4 days to go.
If people join the Discord, they'd see all these days in advance.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I don't think we've actually mentioned it in the Discord.
We must have done.
I think we have done, and you put that post up on the website as well.
But if no one's noticed on our website, I've actually been doing a weekly Kickstarter roundup, and Worms has made it twice because I literally done the post for Worms because I was so excited about it, and added a few more games in, and then I've done the second roundup. I mean, the campaign is brilliant. I've never been so enticing following a campaign than this one for a very long time. It's not stretch goal rewarding, so it doesn't matter how much money they make. They're just releasing daily releases each day, so giving you more information and showing you new miniature. The miniatures are great. I am so looking forward to painting these when these
they are
turn
very
up.
True to the game. The video game.
Definitely. Yeah. They've had interviews they've done like kind of write-up interviews with like the sculptor, the designer, giving insights into the game and how it's come about. They are really doing a great job on this campaign, and I think some people should take note on it. They have added a couple of add-ons, but they're only because people ask for them.
And it's stuff that's already in the campaign, so it's just
already in,
You want extra landscape tiles? Sure, you can buy some more landscape tiles.
Really
You want some extra miniatures? You can get the extra miniatures.
Yeah. Just extra
really
miniatures to paint. Just it's not to add to the game. People wanted more miniatures to paint, so they said, "All right, then here's another tenner. We'll give you some more miniatures." So nothing game breaking, I don't think. So
I think the only difference between like the sort of retail edition and the Mayhem and the Kickstarter edition is that you get all of the worms with the Kickstarter one, where the retail one you only get 16. Which is still quite a lot, to be fair.
16, but they're four the same, aren't they? That's a
thing.
thing.
The same, yeah. But that's fine though, isn't it? Because you think, well, you got one of each for each team. So I think from a retail perspective, I think that's perfect and sensible. But yeah, I'm the same with you on the. I can't be doing with stretch goals and stuff anymore. I just hate it. But the daily reveal thing is really quite nice because you just get that every day. There's a new. What's the new one today? What's the new super weapon or the new miniature that's being done? And yeah, it's really nice.
Good way of keeping the interest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've already planned all this. I mean, like, call me or not, they never. None of this is been. Oh, we've reached this much. Here's another miniature. It's all been planned out. Everything gets. You're not going to go to with them.
You're never going to go to the effort of designing something, having a sculpt made for 3D, test it and everything else, and then not release it because it didn't quite make it to that point. It's just ridiculous. And it's just so. It feels like it was fine when Kickstarter was like a new thing and they wanted to jazz up feel like you were rewarding people for pushing it and stuff. But quite frankly, now everyone kind of knows that Kickstarter is generally a pre-order system for just big projects, and they've just got Mantic have done the same with this. They've just gone, this is being made. This is what you're getting.
Definitely.
Yeah, and fantastic. I can't wait. I mean, I don't really like skirmish games, especially skirmish miniature games, but this is somewhat different.
It's so light, though, really, isn't it?
It's light. It is light, isn't it? And it's very much based on the video game, but instead of being side-on perspective of it, it's top-down because it's tabletop. They explained that in one of the interviews. They said that they actually spoke to Team 17, who created or published Worms, the video game, and they said, don't do it side-on, do it top down. It makes sense because when you're playing a video game, you're looking at a flat screen side by side, so that's it. But when you're playing around a table playing a board game, you're around the table looking down on top of it. So just do it like you would do a normal computer board game. So can't say any more than that. I mean, if you remember playing Worms back in the 90s, you should definitely check this out.
Good. And it's another UK publisher as well, Mantic.
It definitely is, yeah.
So great stuff.
And I've been given the go ahead from the wife as well.
Oh, my wife doesn't know about it, but
she remembers playing that when we were first dating, and she just that'd be amazing. We can get Isaac playing it. Yeah, love it. It'd be so much fun. I was like, that gives me the green light then. Back all the way.
I do like the fact it's got little miniatures for things like the oil drums and the mines, the crates and stuff as well. And
all we need
it
now
does feel
is
like
tombstones.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be the last reveal.
Someone has asked that in the comments. They said, look, he goes, all I'm asking for now is tombstones to be added, and I'm done. And he said, well, we haven't planned for that, but we will look into it. Yeah. And he says, well, if you don't do it, I'm definitely 3D printing some.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I'm sure you can get some.
Even if all they did was say, right, here's some models that if we could have done, we would have done. Here's the model, print them if you want, or something. That would be cool too. But yeah, awesome.
Definitely.
Great stuff.
So check it out. Links are in the show notes as usual. So anything we talked about here, you can then click on it, and it should take you to the right place if Nick's done his job properly.
Yeah.
Alright, played games. I haven't written anything in here, really, because I haven't played much. I've really, I looked at what I tried to play or been playing, and it's basically stuff I've spoken about before. I played another version of that Echoes game, so it's all about sound and listening to a story. So I played the one Christoph got scared with, and it wasn't that scary, but okay.
Is that the first ring?
No, the Dancer one.
Oh, the Dancer, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I've got a link to the right one in the show notes there.
So yeah, and oh, where's it gone? Where's the thing gone? Oh, you've done it already. Yeah, see, I don't even do it. It's instantly there. Yeah, so I actually played that with the sister-in-law, and we smashed it. It was like, I don't know if it was just easy, or because there was two of us listening, discussing it, and saying, oh, but I reckon this goes with this, and this goes with that. We pretty much got it right. I think we had 3 failed selections on it, but yeah, it was actually quite a good story, quite interesting, and yeah, as I said, a couple of us now playing it. It is a shame it's a one-off, but they're not expensive, and I'm hoping I don't know, I might pick up the third one. There's a couple more coming out due, I think, at Essen.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
So I might pick them up, but the thing is, it just feels a bit kind of, I don't know, lame.
7 listed on Board Game Geek. So you've got plenty to pick.
But yeah, interesting idea.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, as I said just before recording tonight, played the longest game of Clank Legacy. I think we started it like 3 weeks ago. Then we had to stop because of stuff happening. We said, "Oh, we'll come back to this in a week," and then we completely forgot it was in the table. And then I was like, and then also Claire's smashing me at this game. I mean, when we paused 3 weeks ago, I was like, "You've got this sewn up." Every card pull, every time she went and done something, it all went in her favour. So I'm just like, I am just trying to generate any points I can at this point. But so quite literally before we came on, I was just taking my last turn, and then I was like, I'll score it up later. I'll record this first. So,
where are you in the legacy at the minute?
That we just finished game 9, and we've done. Yeah, I won't say actually. So yeah, we've got one more game to go.
Secret things have happened. Excellent.
Oh, so much has happened. I am so looking forward to talking to Sam about it.
I've got to remember it all now. I need to play it again so I can remember it.
Yeah. Anyway, so right, that's me really. I did play other stuff, but nothing worth mentioning.
No, that's fair. I played very little in physical form actually in the last 2 weeks. It's been a very busy time, but I have managed to play 2 new VGA releases. So these are on Board Game Arena at the moment to play. The first one is Knar, which is a Viking exploration card game. And this has actually surprised me playing it. It is a fairly simple concept of playing. You have a hand of cards and you're playing them out to a tableau. The cards have a single icon action on them, which is either getting victory points or getting these 2 possible resource types. You can either do that to play, or you can claim a destination. You're exploring a destination by returning these cards from your tableau. And it sounds very simple, and it is very simple, but it is quite addictive in its simplicity. You can combo these cards up where you are playing, so you have 5 different suits effectively, the different colours. And the more of one colour you play, you basically trigger all those cards again. You're getting all these bonuses. And then the more you have, the more you can exchange for exploration cards, which give you more options for trading, and then you can exchange your resource tokens for trading. And depending on how many you exchange, you can exchange more from different columns. The victory points are, you can just get raw victory points, but you also have an income level track, which increases how many victory points you get when you trigger it. And it's overall a very nice implementation on Board Game Arena, and it's actually quite a fun game. I quite enjoyed it. It is, as Board Game Geek says, it is weight round about 1.6, 1.7 out of 5. So quite a light game, but it plays in half an hour, and it's I've enjoyed it quite a lot. I'm on my 3rd game of it now, so it's good stuff. Have either of you had a look at this one?
I've seen it on there, but
I played the tutorial, which allowed me to sort of go through the whole game, I think. And I must admit, I didn't really enjoy it, but I'm wondering if it's one of those games where I'd find it easier to grok in person rather than.
I think you would definitely be able to find it easier in person, because I think I downloaded the rule book and just had a kind of a quick read through, and that helped a lot, because Board Game Arena is as wonderful as it is for enforcing what you can do. It doesn't mean sometimes you don't really understand why you can do something. And so I had to read through the rule book, and that made it a lot clearer. And there's not a lot of rules to it. It's quite a simple concept. So yeah, I think it's worth having another look at. But yeah, play in physical form might make it better. And it's a quick, small card game. So pretty good.
Yeah. I was about to say I actually am playing a game on the Board Game Arena I haven't played before. Humanity, I think it's called.
Right.
And I don't understand that still. I'm just kind of clicking on stuff and turning stuff, and I'm like, yeah. There wasn't even like a rules video, or no one's done anything for it, so it was just like, but because it was listed on Essen Spiel Release, I was like, okay, I'll see what it's like on this form, and I don't know what to do. And I can't
I'll have
be
a read
asked
the
to
rule
read.
for that one.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah. It looks like it's got an interactive tutorial, so there's a good chance that it can be learned at least.
Maybe I should have played that first.
If I get bored tomorrow at work, I'll have a crack at it. It's got complexity level 4 of 5, so 4 out of 5. So it's clearly meant to be a heavier weight game than your average BGA. So
yeah,
I'll have a look tomorrow.
So my other game that I played on BGA is Forest Shuffle, and this is another one coming out of Essen this year. This is from Lookout Games. The designer's name is Kosh. That is literally the only name. The only other game he's credited with is Fife, which was a little tile drawing from a bag and surfing type weirdness game, which was quite fun. But this is Forest Shuffle. This is a pure card game. Pure cards apart from the small board for a tableau of cards to lay out. And again, this was one where I saw it initially and I thought, it doesn't look too interesting. It's just playing cards into a tableau. And then I watched the Think-a-Thema video with Amy and Maggie, and they said that they after their first game or two, they started really thinking over and over, I could do this combo and this and try and do that. And they said it got better and better and better the more they played it, and now it's one of their most anticipated games for Essen release. And so I had to read through the rules, which are, again, very simple rules. I can explain them here very easily. You play a card by paying its cost in other cards from your hand, or you draw 2 cards. That is literally all you can do. And you're playing out trees into this forest, and every tree is able to support up to 4 kind of fauna cards that you can place around it, either left, right, or above or below. And so you've got things like you've got animals, and you've got fungi, other plants, and they all have certain types of scoring. So all the trees have certain types of scoring, and there are 8 different species of trees. And then all the animals, the plants, the mushrooms all have their own little scoring. So some of them are triangular scoring, where the more you have, the more points you get. Some of them have requirements, which are very thematic. So something like the lynx requires a roe deer to be somewhere in the forest for it to score. Rabbits, if you get rabbits on a tree, then you are not limited to just putting 1 card on that side. You can put as many rabbits as you want on that side. So all of the items there, they've made it very, very thematic, and the fact that the trees support all these different ecosystems I thought it was just a really lovely way of doing it. And I'm only halfway through my first game on BGA, and I'm already really thinking all these different scoring combos. How can I get this? How can I dig through the deck to get the cards I need to trigger this scoring? Some of the cards have bonus actions when you play them. Really interesting game. I don't know if this was one that either of you have had a look at yet.
Not yet, but it's right up there with the sort of, because it's got that nice nature theme and artwork that I always get attracted
artwork.
to. Yeah, so it's kind of got that meadow kind of vibe to it, but in a quicker format. So
yeah, the art's by Tony Lovett, just to credit him or her. He's from Barcelona, and he's an expert in wildlife illustrations. And they're lovely illustrations. So yeah, that's well worth having a look on Board Game Arena, and as I said, it's a very simple, mechanically simple card to play, game to play.
Maybe we can have a game of it.
Yeah, spin up a game.
Yeah,
a lot for that.
Good plan. So very quickly for me, I'll do the BGA one because you inspired me there, Nick. So I haven't really played much particularly new either in the last couple of weeks. But I did try Rainforest, which is a kind of drafting-ish tile placement kind of game. So you basically, each player is going to draft one available tile each turn to fill a grid of 3x3. So the game ends as soon as a player has placed their 9th tile, basically. And when you take a tile, underneath each of these tiles, which are like essentially different colours, so different suits really, so green and yellow and red and whatnot. Underneath those tiles are a number of tokens with different animals on and in different colours. When you take a tile and then you take a choice of the available tokens underneath, so it might be all of one species, it might be all of one colour. And what you do is you take your tile and you can then choose to place your animal tokens on those tiles that you have available. And you score points for the tiles that you've managed to fully inhabit. So some tiles might require you to put, say, a frog and a monkey. And another tile might say it can be any 3 tiles, but they must be blue tiles, those blue tokens, that kind of stuff. So it's really, really, really simple. But it's quite strategic in terms of, or tactical, I should say, in terms of, I'll take that tile because I want to take those animals, but I don't really want that tile. Or you might choose to take the tile because you get like an adjacency bonus for the colours, even though you might not get the animal tokens you might necessarily need that turn. So it's just quite a nice, quick, sort of tactical, puzzly kind of thing, which was quite pleasant to play.
Quite nice.
And kind of in keeping with the Forest Shuffle kind of discussion there. Yeah. It's nowhere near as it's got very nice looking artwork, but it's very basic. It's nowhere near.
I love the box cover. It's very vibrant.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's got that typical thing where if it was on a game, if it was there on your regular game night, it'd take about half an hour max to play. So it's just a nice little filler.
Indeed.
Second up was Clank, because until Joel turned up and filled in his sheet, it didn't look like we were going to talk about it. So I thought I'd better put it in there. We've got a new member, relatively speaking, of who comes to our new person who comes to our Wednesday night group at the pub, and she hadn't played Clank yet, and a couple of the others there really wanted to play it. For a change, other people really wanted to play Clank, so I was delighted. I'd taken my base game, I didn't take Catacombs, and I left it to one of our group, Izzy, to choose the map, because I had them all there. And she went and chose the hardest map. She went and chose the Temple of the Ape Lord Reverse, where you've got like the switching tiles. So it's a fun map to play. But oh my god, I mean, every tunnel is a monster trap or a padlock, or it was just really, really hard. And I think 3 of us hadn't even made it into the depths, and we were on half health. So it was really hard. And I think 2 of us managed to get out. And I think it was Claire. She died on the very final step, because on that map you've got these 2 crystal caves right at the end. So the first space of the map of the dungeon is just a normal space, and the second space is either a padlocked crystal cave or another crystal cave. And she'd made it to the crystal cave, even though she had extra movement. She had a teleport, so she was like, "Oh, I can teleport, and then I can move out." And I was like, "Terribly sorry, no, you can teleport, yes, but you can't move again." So she was like, "Oh, right, okay." And then she got her cubes drawn in the next 3 dragon attacks, so it was like she was dead. But I didn't feel too bad, because she did that to me in the last game we played together, so that was fine. But no, it was good. That was good fun, except for the fact it was that really hard map, and for a newbie as well. So Billy, the newbie, she said she really enjoyed it and would play it again. So I thought, well, that's a good sign, because that was a really hardcore game. So yeah, that was fun though. Nice to actually play base, like the base version of Clank. And I think I do like Catacombs. It's just not for me. Doesn't beat normal Clank. And I think for the pub setting, especially when you've got like limited table space, Clank Catacombs can spread really badly. And Clank itself, just you can make it fit, so it just fits better for that sort of night, I thought. And the third game, I think I've talked about it before from the Expo episodes, is Phantom Inc., which is from Alleycat Games, which is essentially a kind of word deduction game along the lines of, sort of code names ish, or Deduckto sort of style, where so you've got two teams, and one person in your team is the clue giver, and they and both clue givers, so have the same word. So blue team, red team, they're both trying to give clues to the same word. So the first word that I had to give a clue to, for instance, was alien. And each team has a little hand of cards that have different questions on, and the team give the clue giver 2 cards to pick one of, and those questions might be what size is it roughly the same as, or how do you use it, or those kinds of things. So it's very, very random kind of questions, but you then start having to write down the answer one letter at a time until the team tell you to stop, because they know what you've asked, what you've been asked. The other team don't, but they have an opportunity to try and guess before you choose whether to guess the word or take another clue from your clue giver. And it's just that fun Deduckto-y kind of thing of trying to get there before the other team does. But the dynamic of it is just really fun. The fact that you're trying to give the same clues, guess the same word, but you have these kind of random, somewhat esoteric questions being given to you. How a number of times we were sort of giving questions over, and you'd see the clue givers just laugh or just be like, "Oh my god!" Trying to think of how do you say what size is an alien? I think the first question I was given that I chose with the alien one, for instance, was what problem does it solve? And you're like, okay, how do I answer that? And I just started writing E X I S, and they told me to stop. So they thought, so existential. I thought it's the existential problem. So they kind of got there in the end, but it's just really fun that you kind of have to come up with these kind of slightly more creative ways of giving clues. It's really good. I highly recommend Phantom Inc. for that kind of setting. It's when you've got, I think officially,
how many does it play?
It plays up to 8 officially, I think, but I can play it with any number really. As long as you can sort of split it into 2 teams.
4 to 8, it says, yeah.
Yeah, I think 8 we decided at Expo. 8 was kind of like the maximum. 6 is kind of perfect because you've basically got a pair trying to guess. It makes it a bit easier. With 3, it's like it's maybe a bit of a struggle to keep everyone engaged a little bit, or you have to kind of be a bit surreptitious in how you're talking to each other and stuff. So 6 feels perfect. 8 is perfectly fine. You could play with more than that, but I probably wouldn't recommend it.
Cool.
But yeah, it's very, very good, and it's really nice production, so it's well worth a look.
I'll have a look out for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been released. I'm sure I've seen it.
We bought it in the Expo, so yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's also come to retail as well, isn't it?
Yeah, mine is retail. So Nick, he bought a copy at Expo, and I subsequently bought one.
Okay.
Right. But for my game night at work, basically. So I played it at work with everyone.
Right.
So I bought it specifically for that.
Nice. Awesome.
Very good. Very good.
Right, on to the Holt question. I like that. I can tell I didn't write this because I'm just like...
It sounds like a Netflix series.
It does, doesn't it? The Holt question. Anyway, I'm tired. What 3 games would you change a Pacific rule for, and why? So basic house ruling. That's his question from the old Lewis Holt. So yeah, we've got a few games on there. There is a game I've been trying to rack my brain for that we played wrong, we found out the right rule, and I decided to keep my rule, and I cannot think what it is.
It wasn't
that particular topic. My answer.
No, it wasn't Planet Unknown. So yeah, let's clear something up. I did state it in the podcast when I released it. I've been playing a rule wrong in Planet Unknown because we got taught it at UK Games Expo how to play it, and Lewis confirmed that's how we got taught. So basically, we were taught when you place water tiles on top of ice on planet terrain, you basically get 2 movement. If you don't place it on water, you get 1 movement. And that's how we played it ever since. I don't know why I never thought about checking the rules, but I just stumbled across it when I was looking something else up, and I was like, oh, that makes sense, doesn't it? So
a lot more balance.
It is a lot more dance. It also makes sense why that tech upgrade is there as well.
Yep.
It's because so then we were getting 4 movement if we were placing water on ice.
It's worth noting the real rule is you don't move up unless you place on the ice one.
Yes, that is the real rule. So yeah, I broke my whole rule tradition. If you get taught a game at any kind of convention, I mean, unless it's the actual designer teaching you it.
Even then, because I know I've taught some rules wrong. So.
Have you? On your own games?
The trouble with being a designer is that you probably know 15 to 20 different versions of the rules. What actually ends up in the rule book is not necessarily what you remember when you're teaching it.
Right.
So it is very hard, which means it's probably better for demoers to not be the designers. Yeah, I know I've done that in the past.
So yeah, I always say if you get taught a game at a convention or somewhere like that, go away and read it up yourself again and just double check they got it all right. Because I know years and years ago when I was first in the hobby, a group went off to Essen. They brought back this game. They played it all night, absolutely loved it. And then one of the guys that played it went away that week, read the rules, came back and says, no, we've been playing it completely wrong. And so they tried to play it to the rules, hated it, and then went back to the original rules they got played. They just couldn't get on with the actual rules of the game.
And if they're enjoying it, I think that's absolutely fine. It's their game. They can play how they want, play how they enjoy it.
So I can't even remember what the game. It was so long ago, I can't remember what it is. Tom might know. I'll have to ask him. But anyway, that's how far back it goes. So yeah, so a couple of games that came to mind. Tapestry is one, and he does this. He actually has suggested that this himself is that when you set up, you usually just get 1 tapestry card handed to you, and that's like you're shit out of luck if it's a crap card. So even Jamie himself has said you could add this rule in and give each person 2 cards, and they pick one and discard the other. There is a Civ that allows you to get 2 cards at the beginning of the game because you instantly play one down, so you'll get 3 in that case. So that is a rule I go with on that. And also what I do is get after everyone's picked all their civs and everything like that, I do take out the civs that have no middle of the game scoring options. Because that really sucks when you get to pick another civ card, because it's hard work getting to that state. Is you pick a new civ card and there's no middle of the game instructions or reward, and it's just like, oh great, well that was worth all that effort. And then someone else gets another civ card. Oh look, I get extra 10 points or extra 20 points for having it. I was like, yeah. So I basically just organise the civ cards to be all rewarding if you get one, hopefully. So
that sounds good.
Yeah. Lords of Waterdeep, I like to implement. No one can hand out. What are they called? Mandatory quest cards to people in the last round.
Right. Yeah.
Because that really sucks when you've built up, and then someone goes and does intrigue. Is it intrigue space or something like that? And there's here's a mandatory quest for you to complete. I was like, that's just ruined my whole game, because now I might be set to complete these quests that I had in hand, but now you're giving me this, it just throws it out, and that's just horrible. So yeah, I have implemented that, and the last game I actually played, they actually took the mandatory quests out of it. They said, we don't play with them. I was like, okay. All right, let's try that then. So,
version.
But yeah, Super Rhino Super Battles. I implemented this from day one because I thought it was really stupid. So I think when the monkey falls off, I don't know if you played it. It's the bigger version of Super Rhino. Lots of different platforms, lots of different levels. There's these little monkey tokens that you had to hook on to the edges.
Yeah.
And basically said if one of those falls off, it's game over. And I was like, well, that's a bit anticlimactic kind of thing. I want the whole thing to fall over. So I just, because I was playing it with my boy and he was like 4 or 5 at the time, maybe even my daughter. Jesus, is that how old it is? Anyway, I just said, you just need to rehang that. If it all falls over again, then you've lost. But you just need to rehang the monkey, and that's how we played it from there on.
Yeah.
So
hang the monkey. That sounds very much like a
just
euphemism to
rehang
me.
the monkey.
It wasn't, because I was playing with my kids. So yeah, they were the 3 games I could think of that I changed the rules for.
That's cool. Yeah, I like those. So I can scoot through mine. My first one is Carcassonne. And this is a rule I think that quite a lot of people do actually do, probably anyway. And that is that the actual rule in Carcassonne is that you draw a tile at the beginning of your turn and place it. And that means that you can get a lot of AP for certain players where they draw the card and they go, where am I going to place that? And they'll sit there for 2 or 3 minutes wondering. So the rule change that a lot of people do is that you draw the tile at the end of your turn instead. And then you have until your turn comes back, especially in a higher player count game, you've got until your turn comes back to then decide where to place it. There's a fair chance you're going to have somewhere, 1 or 2 places you're going to be able to place it. And it does speed the game up quite a bit. There is also an alternative one where you can draw 3. You just always have 3 in hand and you just play one of those 3 and you always replenish to 3, which also helps alleviate the problem of getting just endless numbers of road tiles come out over and over and over. It gives you a bit more variability. But that's my one for Carcassonne. I have to write this out whilst typing. Try a tile draw at and after. My next one is Settlers of Catan, or Catan as it's called these days. And I haven't tried this one. This is one that an idea I came up with. I'm sure other people have thought of this before as well. But this is the issue where you could be playing a game where no one wants to trade with you, and you are stuck with a rubbish hand of cards, and you can't do anything with them, and you have to do the really expensive exchange with the bank. And so my idea, the rule change here, was that any time that you wanted to trade but no one wanted to trade with you, you could get a token which would, in a future turn, let you discount the bank exchange. So instead of 4 to 1, it goes down to 3 to 1. And if still no one wants to trade with you, you get another token that's 2 to 1. And eventually you'll be able to get a really decent exchange with the bank then. And I think that would help to alleviate the problem of having a rubbish hand of cards, and everyone deliberately not trading because you're close to getting close to winning. I think that'll be a lot more interesting. And then my final one, King of Tokyo. I mentioned this in the last podcast about player elimination, and this stands for Monopoly as well. Not that I like playing Monopoly very often. The game, I think, should end when the first person's eliminated. Especially in Monopoly, but King of Tokyo, I think, because you have the problem if you're playing a 5-player game and it gets down to the last 2 people and they keep going up and down, up and down, up and down, it can last for a long time. Just to stop the game.
Or one more round each.
Or just like one more round to see who can get points then. I think it would be a lot more. It'd be a much more pleasurable experience to not sit around for ages waiting.
Only problem with that is that it's called King of Tokyo, and then you'd have 5 Kings of Tokyo.
Well, no, you'd still score. You'd have whoever has the highest score at that point.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think that's where the introduction of I think in the latest edition at least, and they took it. Well, they certainly took it from the Dark Edition, where you've got like the sidetrack, where if you roll 1s, you got 2 on the sidetrack. You roll 2s, you got 1 on the sidetrack. 3s is just stars. So it kind of like makes taking those tokens a little bit. It makes 1s and 2s more useful. Or more desirable, and also it gives you those special powers which then help to accelerate the game as well. That's what we did. We've actually played with 7 players on Friday, which you're not meant to do, but I've got enough monsters, so why not? And yeah, it doesn't take very long, especially with the sidetrack. We have had it with 6 or 7 before, and it can drag for like an hour, and it's just like me and my mate Bill, who's been on the podcast before. We've been sort of duking it out as a pair for like 20 minutes after everyone else has been knocked out. So I know that it can suck when that happens. It's like can be really terrible. Yeah. You got like the rest of them just sitting around waiting for the winner. I think certainly when it gets down to 2, that's when I could see a rule like that being really helpful. Is saying if someone doesn't do something in the next 3 rounds, then that's it. It's game over.
Yes, it's like a sudden death.
Yeah.
That'd be quite good.
Yeah. Or the players that have been eliminated, when it gets back around to their turn again, they just roll the dice and distribute any claws
kind of like
out.
Clank. They keep hitting. Yeah.
I mean, if they just roll 1 claw, then everyone gets 1 damage that's left in. If they roll lots of claws, then they can distribute it out how they feel. And it goes,
I think they just hit whoever's in Tokyo, something like that.
Could do, but then
each other monster takes 1 damage each round, and the one in Tokyo can't heal anyway. So it's kind of like it's like that worm.
That is
like talking about worms before. We got like the water rising. It's almost like that, isn't it? Where it's forcing it to happen.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways to maybe do that, but yeah, it's a good one.
Cool.
On Catan, there was one rule like. If no one got any resources when the dice are rolled, or if you didn't get any resources, then you'll get like a gold nugget or gold, which could be used as a wild. And they actually brought out a mini expansion for this, where it gave you gold nugget tokens to. So basically, if you didn't get any resources, you got a wild nugget, gold nugget to trade in. So, but I'd stopped playing Catan way before that came in.
Indeed, I haven't played it in a long time. but those who still enjoy it,
yeah, definitely,
might want to try that. Sam, what's on your list? You managed to fill 3 on whilst we talk.
I originally only had 1, and that was Jamaica. And when Joel at the start you were talking about you played it wrong. And then played it with the right rule, and then decided you preferred it without, and preferred going back to the rules you played already. That was exactly what happened with Jamaica, and it was you that taught me the right rule. And ever since then, I don't like Jamaica as much, so I'm going back to playing it how we always used to play it.
I think I remember that when I... Yeah.
So the real rule is that when you are sailing, so you take the day movement, you then have to pay food provisions, and then you take the night movement and you have to pay food provisions. We always played it the wrong way, it turns out, where you do day movement, then night movement, then pay provisions for where you end up. And the reason I think we always did that was because it feels like you do your movement, and then because you're mooring up overnight, you pay your provisions because people have got to feed, right? So thematically, it kind of made sense to do it that way. But actually, it turns out that it makes it so much more fun and quicker if you don't have to pay twice to do the same thing. So as soon as we played it the right way, it was just like, this is dragging. This is now, it's gone from being a 35, 45-minute game to being an hour and 15 minutes. And it's just a bit dreary, and you're constantly having to go back because you can't afford to pay for both bits of the movement. I think when I play it next, it will definitely be... only to pay the one movement and don't pay the twice. And I'm sure there's a good reason for why you do it, but at the same time, it just feels like a less pleasurable game to us, and I'm sure that's just because we learnt it one way, we're taught to do, found out, tried it the other way, and just it wasn't what we were used to, so therefore it didn't feel right. I'm not so sure it's a rule that everyone should change, but it's one that I will certainly prefer to play.
Yep.
As my own little personal version. The second one is a bit more tongue-in-cheek. Bang the Dice game. And it's a bit of a meta rule because we only really ever play Bang the Dice game with the same group. It's kind of treated as almost like when we've got 5, 6, 7, 8 players and we haven't got anything else that we want to play. Bang the Dice game is a good one to play on a Wednesday at the pub. As long as Nick Senior is playing with us, the rule is that we have to kill Nick first. Simple as that. And that's become the meta rule in the pub. Is if we're playing Bang the Dice game, doesn't matter if you're a deputy and he's the sheriff, it doesn't matter. You've got to kill him. It's just fun that way. So I think at one point he was kind of taking it a little bit personally. He doesn't take it personally at all, but I think he must have thought this isn't as much fun for me because it's just they're killing me all the time. But he's now taken it as more of a challenge. That if he manages to live or win, then it's doubly worth it. I think the last time we played it, he did actually win. So yeah, it was. So it is a bit of a joke rule, but it's one that we definitely use in the pub. And the third one I thought about is just a simple one. Is Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs, and I've never actually played it, but I just thought about it when we were talking about other stuff. So in Lost Valley, you've got your explorers. They've got to cross the map to get to the temple to get the gold tokens and come back again. You can pick up you play cards. You draw a card and you get what it says, whether it's dinosaur movement or whatever. Sometimes it can be you find a gun, and if you find a gun, you then have to make your way to an ammo dump to go and get. There's 2 spaces on the board where it's got ammo printed, and you can kind of go to an ammo box. A bit stupid. It just never seems to make any sense. I don't understand why that would be, especially when all your miniatures have got little guns as well. It's just a bit weird. Yes. So I think actually the way I would probably try it next time is that don't worry about the gun. I might even take the guns cards out and just say everyone starts the game with 3 bullets, and you can use those bullets whenever you want. And each bullet does the same thing. It moves a dinosaur away from you in a direction you choose. So again, you quite often you find, especially with 4 players, you end up with explorers kind of bunching up or being quite close to each other. You can actually kind of it would make it a bit more tactical to sort of go, right, I'm going to move a little bit further away from you, hit this direction, or away from the temple, but then I'm going to use 2 bullets to move a dinosaur over and capture another dude. So maybe that would make things a bit more interesting. I don't know. That was just a random one I thought of.
That's right.
Always the best.
Got your.
Basically, I looked at my game shelves and was just going, what would I house rule? I can't think of anything.
No, I think I pretty much. I was looking through my collection, going, what have I house ruled?
I'll think of 15 things overnight. It'll be one of those nights where we won't get to sleep, and I'll think of several. But never mind.
We'll just have to do it as a blog on the website.
Yeah.
So yes. Thanks for the question, Lewis. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was a good one. Good question.
If you've got your own house rules, let us know in the comments or on the Discord.
The Discord channel, yeah.
On the Discord.
So over to any other business. This is where probably a lot of people now switch off because it's not board game related. But anyway, we'll carry on as normal. First thing I want to bring to it. Last podcast, I went hiking up a mountain. This podcast, I'm still going hiking in the game called Firewatch. Now, this has been around for a while. People said it's brilliant. They absolutely loved it. I think I had it on my Steam. I think I've got it on Steam, but my laptop can't handle even doing the recordings at the minute. That's that bad. But it came out on Game Pass on the Xbox. And I just downloaded it on as a whim. Had a free night. And started playing it, and I was hooked. The story, it's a narrative game. It's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought I'd just be running around this forest, putting fires out, but you're not doing that at all. It's a narrative story game. You develop this kind of backstory and then you go off and you're this guy who's then in a firewatch tower having this conversation with this woman in another firewatch tower across the way, and there's this story and this thing develops in the background, but it's quite short. I was like, got to it and I was like, oh, is that it? Oh, I was a little kind of disappointed how short it was.
You wanted more?
Yeah, I did. I thought I'm going to get to this bit and they're going to open up another area and I'm going to do something now in here, and it's like, no, this is it. But I have now tried. I was trying to speed run it back through because I missed a few achievements to get the 1,000 points. So I was having a look at what I hadn't done, and I was like, oh yeah, and I was just trying to speed run through, which I nearly got to until another game got released. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then last podcast I did talk about watching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 4D and 3D, and we said maybe it might be good to watch a film that we already know in 4D and 3D, so you know the story already and you just experience the ride.
Yeah.
And then Sam posted up.
Lo and behold.
Yeah, posted up. There was a discount because it was World Cinema Day, Saturday just gone, or Saturday before. It was like £3 to go and watch movies. And there was advertising Jurassic Park in 4D and 3D. And I quickly jumped on the site and it wasn't showing anywhere near here on that day. But they were showing it on a Wednesday evening. And I was just like, sod it. I'm just going to buy tickets for me and the wife. So we went along and sat there. And it started off a bit rocky, I have to say. Because I was sat... So I went a little bit cheap because I already had glasses from previous movies that I found. And we sat there and like... It started coming up with the Paramount... Oh, is it? No, it's not Paramount. Universal logo coming around the world. But it's kind of like jittery and jumpy and things like that. I was like, oh, that's not right. And then the title started coming up. And it was like jittery and jumpy. And I actually grabbed my wife's glasses because they were new ones off of her and put them on mine. I was like, oh, it's doing to yours. It's not my glasses. And gave them back to her. And then it got into the next bit, and where they're trying to put this dinosaur into the compound, and the guy gets eaten, and it was just jittery and jumpy. It was like double imaged everywhere. It was horrible. I was like, this ain't right. This is not what I paid for. So I jumped out of the seat and started running out to let someone know. By that time, 2 people were already coming back in, and I was like, it's all right. I've already told them it's not in sync. They're going to restart the movie. So So I came back saying to myself, they're going to restart it because it's not in sync. So they restarted it. There was a massive cheer, and I got like people started tapping me on the shoulder, going, "Well done, mate, well done." I was like, I didn't do anything. I went to go and do something. It was all someone, but I'll take the credit anyway. Face like, I said, no worries, don't worry about it, kind of thing. But once they synced it and they got on with it, it was amazing in 3D and 4D. It was like, this film was made for this format. It was just everything I was thinking about. So there's dinosaurs sniffing and sneezing, kind of like blowing air kind of thing. That's going to be amazing for the water effect shooting out and things. And I was right. When they were up in the tree, because they've just got away from the T-Rex, the scent was like there was a jungle kind of floral scent coming out, and they've mist in the air, and it was just amazing experience. They got the rumble, the chairs and everything down to a T. I think someone put their heart and soul into making this the best experience. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were some janky moments where I was like, oh, that's horrible in 3D. I don't know if you remember where the lawyer's being dragged across a river on a makeshift raft right at the beginning. And it just looked like he was on like he probably was actually on a green screen. But it was horrendous. I was like, I hope this is not the the way of the movie, and that was probably the worst bit. And then everything else was better. And yeah, there was Sam, you've read the book, haven't you?
Yeah.
Tell me about the 100-foot wall and the T-Rex compound that isn't there in most of the movie. You don't know.
What when they get chucked over the thing in the Jeep?
Yeah. So like if you look at like when they arrive and see the T-Rex, the ground's all level either side of the wall.
Yeah.
But then the
I mean,
T-Rex
none of that
is
happens
smashed.
in the book, pretty much, or it doesn't happen that way. I don't think.
Oh, it doesn't. Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how it happens now. It's been a long time. But yeah, there's a lot of difference to the book and the film. It was inspired by the book almost as opposed to it being a literal translation.
Right.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things, even right from the beginning, when I saw it the first day, I was like, hold on a minute. Where did that 100-foot drop come from? I was like,
it does appear out of nowhere, doesn't it?
That wasn't there before. The grounds are level. And then how does a dinosaur push the cart over a metre-high wall that then seems to be at ground level? I mean, that's the only thing that kind of ruins it for me, is that bit. And I can get over it. The film is great, and especially in that format, as I said, it was brilliant. So yeah, apart from that bit. Oh, and the hand that pushes the velociraptor into the kitchen because the mechanical operations weren't working.
Yeah. Could you see it?
Yeah, I only just saw the someone put a video up on Facebook, like things that you won't notice but you will now. Yeah. I was like, great, thanks for showing me. Is when the velociraptor opens the kitchen door, the mechanical thing faulted, so someone literally had to push its back end through the door, and I was waiting for it, and there's a hand that comes out. It's black, but it comes out and it just pushes the butt of the dinosaur, and then as the camera pans downwards, you then don't see it, but you quite literally see the hand, and you cannot unsee it now. So
it's interesting when you watch the they don't really cover that particular like blooper in the show, but the Disney Plus series Light and Magic, about industrial light and magic, they obviously go into the making of Jurassic Park to some degree, and it's when they were making Jurassic Park, it was they were using all they were intending to use all stop motion and animatronic as a combo, and it was only because the tech dudes that were doing like a sort of fairly experimental CGI at that point, sort of sabotaged the whole process, because they basically worked on stuff without anyone knowing about it to sort of prove that they could do CGI. That they then did it in front, showed it to Steven Spielberg on the sly, basically put it on a couple of monitors as he was walking around without the bosses knowing. And Steven Spielberg was like, "What's that? What's that on that screen there?" And they worked out that actually they could do realistic movement. So the film now is kind of like a sort of mix of the two techniques.
Yeah.
But, it's cool. That's really fascinating as well, just looking at how they made it all. Despite the odd blooper.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still that a lot of the effects in it do hold up still now, though. It's like the T-Rex bit in the rain is legitimately still quite terrifying for kids.
Yeah.
So...
Definitely, even though, like, I mean, you can see it now, it's like animatronic, but I don't think movies even go to that extent now. It's all like digital. It's all special effects kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was just a great experience. Nick's been watching Monopoly again.
I have been watching Monopoly again.
But it's brilliant.
The guys from No Rolls Barred done another video of their communist Monopoly that they made. This time with 4 players instead of 2 players. And the guy who kind of designed, in inverted commas, the communist Monopoly version, he hadn't really designed it for 4 players, and so he was kind of on the fly changing rules, which was very funny. But it was once again just hilarious. About you do a random thing and all your money disappears, all your properties get confiscated, or you get sent to jail. And he was giving them player powers, one of which the lady could only roll 1 of the 2 dice every turn. But if you get sent to jail, you have to roll doubles to get out, which means it would be impossible for her to get out of jail. Which is great. And another one came up in one of the no chance cards, because they're no chance cards, where the guy could introduce any rule he wanted. So he introduced the rule where other players had to pay him to roll the dice on their turns. Unfortunately, that kind of backfired, because one of the conditions of you disappearing or dying in the game is if you get over 1,000 rubles, then you're immediately eliminated because you've gathered too much wealth. And they all realized then that the way to get him eliminated was they just had to just pay him for the dice, and then he would eventually just go bust. So there's some brilliant moments in it. It's well worth a watch on YouTube. And that's the no rolls barred YouTube channel.
Oh, it was hilarious because that girl that got it was called, she was like the peasant or something like that. Poor.
Oh yes, that was her character.
With the one dice only. It's just her face when he was like telling it her. She was just open mouth shot the whole way through it.
You have to stay out of jail. And he is yes.
And was it only Starling could talk? She could only talk through Starling.
She could only talk to Starling, no other players.
So players would be talking to her, and she's like, "Starling, can you pass this message on to tell him thank you very much for the money?" And he said, "Yeah, you can just F off."
Starling wouldn't give change. He was the bank. He was doing the banking, and he wouldn't give change. If someone said, "Here's a 500. I'm paying a 10. I'm going to change." He goes, "Oh well, thanks for that." And he didn't give any change at all.
It's amazing. It was so funny. Great. And what about the power stations?
Oh yes, one of the power stations is Chernobyl. Yeah. And if you land on it, you have to take it. And then if you don't buy the waterworks within 3 turns, it explodes. And you lose all your property. But if someone else buys the water, or if they land on the water property, they immediately gain Chernobyl, and they are then in the same predicament. Then it's so well thought out, bizarrely. It seems very random. But yeah, I don't know how much time they cut out of the video, but I think it was an hour and a half, hour maybe. Yeah,
it was an hour and 40 minutes. I think I saw.
Yeah, I think they probably cut quite a bit. But yeah, it was very, very funny. And he dresses up in the Stalin outfit and everything with the moustache, and it plays it so well.
I think they commented. It goes, "We've been playing this for hours, and I've got nothing still." Oh, dear.
I get that watch. That was good. The other thing, my other business is I've just finished watching the second season of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds on Paramount Plus. It is brilliant, absolutely.
I need
brilliant
to watch this
season. It's so good. They've got, and I don't want to do too many spoilers, but they've mentioned this on social media things. There's a crossover episode with Lower Decks, which is the animated series. I won't explain how that works, but it's very funny. And then they have a musical episode. And that's all I'm going to say about that episode, but you can find out. But it was amazing. And the whole season was really, really well plotted. The special effects are just amazing for a TV show. And the arc story over the entire season is really, really good. And I'm wondering how many seasons they are going to plan on doing, because you'll know there's an end point, because Pike is going to get irreparably injured at some point, because that's part of Trek lore. That's what happens to him. And then Kirk will take over, presumably, at some point. Kirk's in this a lot more this season.
Oh, he's turned up, has he?
Because he turned up at the end of season 1. You saw him once.
Okay.
So he's back. He comes back at some point. This. Yeah, really, really wonderful. So I got the Paramount Plus. I subscribed to it for 1 month just to watch this, and that's well worth the money for 1 month. So I've now started rewatching all of Discovery from the start.
Oh yeah.
Comparing it, which I'm enjoying. I'm almost finished the first season again. That's good stuff.
I actually do like Discovery. It's good program.
I did like Discovery. I think the second series was the best one of Discovery, because it felt most like Trek. But I enjoyed the first one where they're setting the new style, and the third and fourth were fun.
Awesome. Right, Sam.
Yeah. Starfield.
The big news article. What's been taking up all of both of your lives?
Little known game, got prematurely released to some people that got a limited edition. No, not limited, special edition of it.
The monks that paid £35, basically.
Yeah, wow. Or you could have
Extra.
paid more. So if you have Game Pass on Xbox, you could have paid £35-ish for getting
£31 something or other, I think.
Oh yeah, it was 31. It was
discount.
they reduced it a little bit more, didn't they? So yeah, to get a pre-release of Starfield. So yeah,
5 whole extra days. 5 whole extra days.
Need it.
And in that time, I think I put in about 30 hours. So, pretty good.
Yeah,
I think I'm on close to 40 hours at the moment. I had to have a day off today just because I've been playing it every day since it came out.
Yeah, I think I've done about 30 hours, but I think 5 of them I've slept because I've been doing it. I get there and I'm just like, I'm so tired, but I just want to keep going. And then I'm like, I'm going to put my head down for a bit and just sleep. 10-minute nap kind of thing. And then wake up an hour later. I was like, what's the time? Oh, I'm going to go to bed. So yeah. So yes. So me and Sam's got Starfield. And yeah. It's a game.
It's Skyrim in space.
It's Skyrim in
point of the
space.
game? I don't know really anything about it.
So it's basically a giant RPG. If you've ever played Skyrim or Fallout 4 or any of the Fallout games, that kind of stuff, it's from Bethesda, so the same people that make those games. So it's a giant old world. Essentially, forget the story of it. You're just a minor kind of character at the start, but you quickly become a member of an organization called Constellation, which are basically like space explorers, and you get sort of sucked into this kind of overarching narrative about these alien artifacts. And the main mission is going to be about kind of finding these alien artifacts and then unlocking the mystery behind them. But all along the way, as with Skyrim, you can join a plethora of other organizations, gangs, groups. You can explore up to 1,000 completely individual planets, which by and large just means it's a big rocky thing with some stuff on it that you can scan. But the bare minimum is that you can... Generally, they've all got like some kind of outpost, or there's space pirates to kill, and you can join... I've just joined an organization called the Freestar Collective, and you become like a ranger in a kind of space cowboy kind of style universe, and you kind of go around hunting bad guys and doing stuff like that. I've barely scratched the surface of it really, but it's I hope I've only just scratched the surface of it, to be honest. But there's tons and tons and tons of stuff to do. You can build outposts on planets and set up kind of weird kind of manufacturing bases. You can have like one outpost on one planet, which is like harvesting up, say, iron and aluminium and stuff, and then you can set up a trade link between one outpost and another outpost, so you can send the raw materials from one place to a manufacturing outpost that you've set up somewhere else, so that can get the raw materials it needs to manufacture stuff, and then that can send stuff to somewhere else. The amount of things you can probably do is just incredible. I doubt I'll do any of that.
Can you interact with other players in the game?
No, it is a full solo standalone single player game. Right. Yeah, it's a single player RPG, but there's so much to do. It's really cool. You can do bit of space combat, land combat. You can model your gear. It's a typical. Yeah, it is basically Skyrim in space, and hopefully I won't have to. Unlike Skyrim, I won't have to spend about 20 hours at a forge trying to manufacture my dragon scale armor by going through every single manufacturing process. But yeah, it's quite fun watching some of the even just watching some of the things that other people are doing, because there's like a ship builder aspect to it, so you can you can just use the ships that you end up getting given or find or steal. But one of the things you can do is you can essentially customize a ship to the nth degree. So people have been taking it as a bit of a challenge to kind of come up with the craziest things. Someone's made like a Borg cube, for instance. The Normandy Mass Effect and stuff like that.
Yeah, the best one I saw was Futurama's rocket ship.
Oh, really?
Oh, cool.
It did look pretty good.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's quite fun that all these little meta things kind of happen, which I quite like.
yeah.
But yeah, it's quite it is fun. I mean, it's I know that a lot of people will have problems with it one way or another in different ways. One of my friends doesn't like it. He's 4 hours in and said he doesn't like it because it's not like he was expecting it to be like Elite Dangerous and stuff. It's like, well, no, it's a RPG. It's not going to be. And plus, in Elite Dangerous, I seem to remember spending about 5 hours just on drifting towards another planet or something. It's just like, oh my god, I don't want it to be that realistic.
Yeah.
It's just.
No.
It'd be great for Joel. He can sleep as long as he likes, basically. Set course. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just a big old RPG and just quite fun.
Cool.
So
yeah.
It's nothing. I don't think it's anything revolutionary beyond the scale of it, really. But it's
still enjoying it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just a nice way to spend a few hours. That's quite a lot of hours. But, yeah.
So
my
how
wife's
far
on
along are
holiday.
How far along are you in the story? Because I've just done the
main
first...
story. I've done one of the 3 branches of the main story, and I've left the other 2 because I've been getting sidetracked on other stuff.
When you're finding artifacts?
Yeah, so I had to. So the first main stories are the ones where you have to go and get the guy that first recruits you. You've got to go and get him back, and then you've got to go to New Aquila or Aquila City with the cowboy guy and his daughter. I haven't done that yet, and you've got to go to the space station above New Atlantis, which I haven't done either. So I've done one of the 3 main starting missions, and I've just been doing all sorts of other side stuff up till now. Have you done the Mantis mission yet?
No, I knew about it. I've got the coordinates for it, but it came up with level. It came up with level 30, and I was like,
I did it at level 11.
All right.
Make sure you got plenty of ammo, but do that one because that's worth doing. That's what I'll say.
I know. Yeah, I know what it is. You get a special suit and special spaceship.
Yeah.
Because it keeps coming up on my feeds about doing it. There's another one. There's another mission where you get a really good ship and good weapons. Is it part of?
That's part of the main mission, isn't it?
I think one of the guys side tracks. The ones you're doing.
I know one of the guys at Constellation gives you a ship at some point.
Right.
A rich guy.
Yeah. Oh no. See, so I've got as far as exploring the first temple, and it gives you powers.
Oh right.
So
temple. I haven't done a temple.
No, you need to do those 3 quests. You need to do all of them, and then you'll get sent to do other stuff. So
cool. But anyway, we could have a whole episode. Should probably have a whole episode on Starfield at some point. But
loads of people said to complete the main missions first, and then start the game on Game Plus, and then just do completionist then.
So you don't get sidetracked. Yeah. So you just do the narrative, basically, the narrative. That's the trouble with these RPGs. It always feels like you got this narrative where it's like, got to go do this now. This is really important, go do this. And then you just end up doing loads of other stuff for about 50 hours. And then there's no real urgency to any of it.
I mean, you could just walk down a corridor on a way to one mission, and you'll overhear a conversation, and it ping up, new mission available. Yeah. Go and see this person at this time or at this place. And it's like, don't do this. I don't want more missions to like make my OCD go out of control. I just want to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is one of those. It's time sucking. But if you like this sort of thing, it is brilliant. You can now play it free on Game Pass if you want to, if you have that. Or you can play it on Steam as well. So PC.
Yeah.
I don't think it's coming to PlayStation. So
it might do at some stage, but it certainly isn't in the foreseeable.
But PlayStation's got their Spider-Man we've got our
So they got loads of
yeah, they have
good stuff. Let's have one thing on Xbox. So I've got both things, but
dear. Anyway, so yes,
cool, very cool.
That is it. Well done if you've made it to the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm just trying to find the closing notes because it's a bit higgledy-piggledy on our script. So yeah, thank you for listening to the podcast. If you want to make a comment about what we've talked about in this episode, then please drop us a line, note, Discord message, anything like that. You can find all our links in the show notes below or in this episode. Nick does an excellent job of linking everything. Hopefully it all carries over. So yeah, anything we've talked about, find the link in the show notes. It's all there. Thanks guys for turning up. Unlike Lewis, again, it's been noted, Lewis. I know you don't listen to this. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, it's next episode, standard episode, and then hopefully we'll have a special episode again for the Essen Spill highlights we are looking forward to. So stay tuned. Yeah, well, yeah, hopefully breaking it into 2 shows. It won't be a long one this time. So, but yeah, that's what's coming up. Say goodnight, guys.
Good night.
Good night, folks. Good night.
Good night, everyone.